Okay, hi and welcome to Friends in Faith. We're in week 2 now of our series of, I can call it Advent versus Anger. Last week in week 1, Father John was doing the call, the invitation, and outlining the problem of anger today and envisioning a life without it. Today in this week, we're talking about the challenge. And the challenge is really simple. Love your enemies. Jesus says in Luke 6, 4 things. Number 1, love your enemies. 2, do good to those who hate you. 3, bless those who curse you. 4, pray for those who hurt you badly. And then he continues, if you only love those who love you, so what? Even sinners do the same. What reward is that to you? Instead, love your enemies and do good. Now you can envision a couple of those lines differently that gives it more emphasis, more power to us. Instead of do good to those who hate you, what if you thought of do God to those who hate you? Love your enemies and do God. If you try to do that, it gives it a whole different emphasis and sense of us. So the question is then, what is an enemy? An enemy is simply, in the easiest definition, someone who's against us. They can be against us in their actions. They can be against us in their ideas. They can be against us in goals. They can be against us in anything. In our highly charged atmosphere, sometimes we even accuse family and friends of being enemies if they disagree with us. Our current political climate tries and succeeds very often in dividing us one against the other. Divide us into allies and enemies. And if you buy into that, then you are far from God's plan for us. Instead, we should be striving to be the people that God wants us to be. And so we're not trying to tell you all the causes behind it, but I'm going to offer remedies to the anger in us. And there are 7 of them. 7 intentionally, because God created the world in 7 days. And in biblical numerology, 7 stands for spiritual perfection, holiness, God. So we're going to work on these 7 things to try to achieve holiness and spiritual perfection. So the remedies to anger. Number 1, these are in no particular order. Number 1, pray for your enemies. Now, when Jesus was on the cross and praying, he was very intentional about something he said. Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. And so praying for enemies doesn't just mean saying, I know I'm supposed to pray for them. Okay, Lord, I don't want anything bad to happen. I mean, being conscious and intentional, just like Jesus was. And desire and ask for good for them. Conversion, whatever, but pray for your enemies. Number 2, do acts of service and forgiveness. We always say, I know I should imitate Christ. Yeah, yes, but there's something better you should achieve and search for and reach for. And that is to form a community of people who in different ways reflect the love that Jesus has for us. And if we create that community, then we'll do it through acts of service, acts of forgiveness. Number 3, another thing you hear all the time is we're supposed to see Jesus in everyone. Yes, but before that, preceding that, you have to see him in yourself. You have to have the experience, even knowing, I'll use myself as an example, even knowing all my faults, all my flaws, all my sins, all the times I've fallen short. Even knowing that, an experience of God's love and mercy for me, and thanking him for it. And if I can find that in myself, if I can find Jesus in myself, then it's far easier to see him in other people. Number 4, angry thoughts. Anytime you get those, you have to challenge yourself on it. Wait, this is not a good thought. I have to reject this. Because I'm tempted to say all. But since I don't know God's mind, I won't say all. But I think just about all angry thoughts do not come from God. And if they don't come from God, then you have to ask yourself, where do they come from? And is that really something I want to indulge? So reject angry thoughts. Number 5, avoid and again reject any self-righteousness, any arrogance when you find it in yourself, and you find yourself treating people with that. If that happens, then you apologize. If you want to be self-righteous with God and tell him, I'm better than you. But if you can't do that, you can't do it to anyone else either. Number 6, do not ever, 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 ever take revenge and think, I'm going to get even. Same thing. Revenge is not something God gives us to do. In fact, at another time he says, when they ask, should we pull up weeds out of the wheat? And he says, let them grow together. Because in pulling up the weeds, you pull up the goodness too. So if you think you're getting even, you're not doing God's will. So you have to ask yourself, I'm not doing God's will. Whose will am I doing? My own? Or? You fill in the or. And finally, number 7, pray for God to form your heart in his will. And just like praying for enemies intentionally, pray intentionally. Lord, I want to do what you want me to do. I want to be who you want me to be. Pray for that constantly, over and over and over. 7 remedies for love of enemies. Practice them, talk about them with each other tonight, and put them to use in your life. So that's the discussion for tonight about those remedies and how you can activate them in your own life. Take care. Good night.